you, Julian, about Bradley Manning. Mike Huckabee, who also was a presidential candidate, the governor of Arkansas, said that the person who leaked the information to Julian Assange should be tried for treason and executed. He said, whoever in our government leaked that information is guilty of treason, and I think anything less than execution is too kind a penalty. Bradley Manning is a young U.S. soldier who is in Iraq, has been held for more than a year, much of that time in solitary confinement in Quantico in Virginia. It was exposed that his treatment was tantamount to torture. P.J. Crowley, the White House, the State Department spokesperson, spoke to a group of bloggers at MIT and said his treatment is stupid. For that, he was forced out of the State Department. Bradley Manning was then moved to Fort Leavenworth because of the outcry. But he remains in prison. He remains not tried. What are your comments on him?
First of all, Amy, thanks for asking this question, but it is difficult for me to speak in detail about that case. But I can speak about why it is difficult for me to speak about it. So Bradley Manning is an alleged source of WikiLeaks who was detained in Baghdad, and then, although there was very little, no mainstream press publicity at the time, shipped off to Kuwait, where he was, if you like, held in an extrajudicial circumstance in Kuwait, in a similar manner to which detainees are held in Guantanamo Bay. Eventually, through some creative legal methods, he was brought back to the United States, and he's been in prison now for over a year. He was being kept in Quantico for 8 months under extremely adverse conditions. Quantico is not meant for long-term prisoners. Other prisoners, the maximum duration over the past year has been 3 months. And people that have been visiting Bradley Manning say, and we have other sources who say that they were applying those conditions to him because they wanted him to confess that he was involved in a conspiracy to commit espionage against the United States with me. That pressure on Manning appears to have backfired. So by all reports, this is a young man of high moral character. And when people of high moral character are pressured in a way that is illegitimate, they become stronger and not weaker. And that seems to have been the case with Bradley Manning, and he has told US authorities, as far as we know, nothing about his involvement. Now, there has concurrently been a secret grand jury taking place 6 kilometers from the center of Washington. That grand jury involves 19 to 23 people selected from that area. Now, why was it in Alexandria, Virginia, 6 kilometers center of Washington, that grand jury was placed and those people drawn? Well, it has the highest density of government employees anywhere in the United States. The US government was free to select the place, and they selected this place in order to bias the jury from the very beginning. This is in fact wrong to call a jury. This is a type of medieval star chamber. There are these 19 to 23 individuals from the population that are sworn to secrecy. They cannot consult with anyone else. There is no judge, there is no defense counsel, and there are 4 prosecutors. So that is why people that are familiar with grand jury inquiries in the United States say that a grand jury would not only indict a ham sandwich, it would indict the ham and the sandwich. and that's a real threat to us. A grand jury, which was removed from UK jurisprudence because of abuses, combines the executive and the judiciary. So this old common law notion of the separation of these branches of power is removed in the grand jury. The US government argues that these captive 19 to 23 individuals are the branch of the judiciary, that they perform a judicial function, where of course actually they're just captive patsies for the Department of Justice in the United States and the FBI. So they have been going out and they have coercive powers. They can force people to testify, and they have been pulling in all sorts of people that are connected to WikiLeaks and people that are not. They have recently, a number of individuals that have been pulled to the grand jury understand what is going on, and they have refused to testify and have pleaded the First Amendment, Third Amendment, and the Fifth Amendment protection against self-incrimination to, well, I'm not sure the purpose, I don't have direct communication, but from the outside it appears to nullify that political witch hunt in the United States against us. Now, in response, the grand jury has been instructed to send out immunity certificates. So these are certificates that go to subpoenaed individuals that say that if you come to the grand jury to testify, your testimony cannot be used against you, and therefore you have no right to plead the Fifth. What this means in practice is coerced, compulsive interrogation in secret with no defense counsel. There's not even lawyers for the subpoenaed witnesses are permitted into the grand jury. It is just the prosecutors and these people from six kilometres away from the centre of Washington. That's something that should be opposed. There's another grand jury that has sprung up in the United States and is investigating anti-war activists engaged in the same sort of witch hunt. So these are really a classical device that was looked at very critically in the UK 400 years ago. And the result in the UK is this concept that if justice is to be done, it must be done publicly. And that has been a concept that is waylaid. It's interesting why or how it has been waylaid. So that on the surface, this device of, well, you want the police to have an investigation. The executive says it wants to conduct an investigation into some group of people. Well, we get people from the community, 19 to 23 people from the community, and they monitor the investigation. They make sure it's not overstepping and so on. But actually, this has been turned on its head and used as a way to completely subvert the judicial system in the United States.